welcome back to my channel. We're gonna do another video on spiritualism. We're gonna talk about the divination boards a little bit more. I did figure out where my Ouija board was. I pulled that out. I recently ordered a witch's broom and some sage so I can explain how you use that. I'm a little out of breath. One of my kids came down and I had to shuffle him back upstairs. I need to learn how to catch my breath before I turn the camera on, but I will go into a little bit more on my beliefs with spirits. These are my own opinions. I've kind of gathered where I'm at about it over time. I just do research. There's a couple of credible psychics that I have found online. I watch a lot of their TikToks just because it's short form and you can get some pretty good concise information quickly. And yeah, like I said, these are my opinions. If this subject matter is offensive to you, please don't watch this video. I have other videos that will be coming up this week. I don't take that personally. If this is creepy to you, again, don't feel obligated to watch it. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments because I could definitely probably do another couple of these. I can also film when I burn the sage, if that's something that you're interested in seeing. So yeah, let's jump in. If you are new, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not new, I appreciate you coming back as always, and let's jump into the video. Okay, so when we did the last video, I didn't organize my space very well, and I had some caffeine before I came down, so I'm gonna try and reel my thoughts in here a little bit. But we did talk about divination boards, and I did do a reading, an example, demonstration, that's the word I'm looking for. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. First off, we talked about what is the difference between a Ouija board and a divination board. Not a whole lot. I do think that these are easier to use by yourself. I find that Ouija boards are meant to be used with more than one person. It's really difficult, as you can see, mine is still in the plastic. It's difficult to get accurate readings by yourself without feeling like you are moving it. These are designed to be used with a group. This is designed to be used by one person. There's a lot of negativity surrounding these that's been propagated over the years. Like my husband was very like, I don't want these in the house. He bought me this set. It came with this and this and the planchette. So, and then he bought me the pendulums that I have. So he's kind of come around. There is like directions on the back how to use a spirit board. This is a very basic one. This is made out of pressed particle board. You can get custom made ones that people take a lot of time to make. You can get ones that look a little bit more satanic if you like the visual of one that's a little more creepy. I've seen, like, you can get antique ones. People collect them. Can you get a negative board? Theoretically, yes. If you watch, like I watch the Haunted Objects podcast, they have, like, you can listen to it, but I watch them on YouTube. Technically, an object can be imbued with negative energy. So if somebody, I'll just use this as an example. If somebody is very negative and is using this in a negative manner, over time, this can have negative energy associated with it. Now, this is a blank slate. I bought this brand new, but anything can be turned negative. You can cleanse objects. I think like with haunted objects, I don't think that it's necessarily that there's an entity that's attached to it. I think over time being bombarded with negative energy changes the energy of the object. Can it be changed back? Yes, it can. With anything, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. That's basic laws of physics. So spirits, entities, ghosts, whatever you want to call them. I prefer to use the term spirit just because I feel like it's less condescending. I try to be like when you saw the demonstration last time, and I can do another one at the end of this video if you didn't see the other one. I'll try and remember and do one at the end, but you're talking to a person essentially that was alive at one point in time. So I try and convey respect. They don't have to talk to me. They choose to. Most people have 1 to 3 spirits around them at any given time. The one that I communicate with has told me that they are one of my spirit guides. Do I know that for a fact? No, I don't have any concrete proof of that, but I am somebody that does believe in spirit guides. What a spirit guide is when we choose to reincarnate, there are spirits that are assigned to us. Apologize, my mother-in-law called. What was I have to like backtrack what I was saying. Okay, so when you choose to reincarnate, and I can do a separate video on my belief system on reincarnation, because that could be its own video, so let me know down in the comments if you want to see that. But spirits are assigned to you. Generally, they're people that have been alive at some point. They're not currently, obviously, and generally have not been in a while, and they will be assigned to kind of guide you through your journey. Now, why does somebody choose to reincarnate? Generally, it's for spiritual knowledge, because when we're on the other side, we're in a blissful state. Everything's perfect and hunky-dory. We choose to come and have experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, to gain knowledge. We learn through experience, generally. Like I said, I can go further in depth with that, but the person that the spirit that I've been communicating with has told me that they are one of my guides. There are 2 other spirits that have been hanging around. They are just passers-by, from the best of my knowledge. From what I have, it is a her. From what she has told me, they're aware of each other, but they are not in communication with each other, and they don't interact with each other, but they're aware of each other's existence in the space. The other 2 people that have come through, again, I think are just people that are passing through. I like the kind of example that they used in, was it Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon, where the gentleman's kind of explaining about the husband and the son psychic ability. Like, spirits are kind of wandering through in the dark, and somebody that's psychic is going to be like a beacon. The stronger the ability, the brighter the flashlight. So spirits will be attracted to people that are more aware. And generally, spirits will just hang around with people, even if they're not aware, for whatever reason. Are houses haunted? Not in the sense that you think. People are haunted. Ghosts are attracted to people, not necessarily the property. You can have instances where the person has passed away and they're hanging around in their home. Generally, when they're doing that, it's because they're confused. They don't know that they're dead. That does happen. Or, like, say the husband dies and the wife is still alive, they will choose to hang around to be near their spouse, because maybe the wife is grieving and they're trying to offer comfort. Spirits can go to and from the other side. They're not trapped over here. They're not trapped over there. Sometimes they need help crossing over. And again, the spirit guides will hang out with the deceased person until they make the journey back. People are not abandoned over here. When you have an instance where there are homes that are haunted, 2 things are generally happening. One that I've kind of adopted is like an imprint. I think of it as like a nuclear explosion. So generally there's a lot of trauma, a violent death. Somebody was executed, murdered, killed, died suddenly. A good example would be like the Victorian homes, where you'll hear about the Civil War soldier who at like 1 o'clock every day is walking across the hall and down the stairs, and they're on a loop. It's an imprint of the person, not an actual conscious entity, if that makes sense. The energy has been fractured, generally because of trauma. Just like why Gettysburg is haunted and the spirits are in a perpetual loop. I don't believe that it's the full soul. I'll use that word. Again, I think because of that was such a violent battle during the Civil War, there was such a loss of life that it created, like I said, a fracture happens, like a nuclear blast that leaves an imprint behind. And the echo of the person is still there, stuck in a loop. That can happen in a home. A good example would probably be like the Amityville house. Do I think some of the DeFeo family are still wandering. Like, I don't think it's the full-on entity, but I do think there's an echo, because 6 people were killed in a house while they were sleeping. It was very violent incident that happened. So that, again, can leave an imprint. But you can also have an instance, and from the research I found, it's very fascinating. Poltergeist activity generally happens with children, and it's generally children that are going through or about to go through puberty. So there's a lot of energy in their little bodies, and it has to go somewhere, and it is expelled essentially, and that can cause poltergeist activity. It sounds bizarre. They're not conscious of it, but it's a form of like telekinesis almost that happens. Like I said, there's a lot of energy going on, swirling, and then if you have a home where like there's violence or parents are fighting, and then you throw in like kids going through puberty, that's like a perfect storm for poltergeist activity. So generally poltergeist activity is caused by people, not necessarily a ghost, which is interesting. And like I said, that's research that I've done more recently. It's very fascinating, but houses are not haunted. People are haunted, basically, in a nutshell. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Like I said, I can go more in depth on any one topic. Like I said, we can do reincarnation. We can do more on haunted houses, but that's kind of where I'm at with my own knowledge. Now, as far as my psychic ability, I'm very sensitive to energy. I have a hard time. I do have anxiety, but I have a hard time in public spaces because there's so much energy being expelled that it can make me nauseous sometimes. It can make me dizzy and lightheaded. I'm just sensitive to energy. When I was younger, I'm going to say as a kid, and children tend to be very open. The thought is that the younger the child, the closer they are to have been just reincarnated. So the veil is thinner. They have more access to the other side. And as you get older, that closes up. Now, some people retain that open ability into adulthood. Most people, it closes up. I used to be able to hear ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call them. I've never seen a full-on apparition, nor do I want to, and I think that's why I've never seen one, but I used to be able to hear like them speaking. And no, I am not mentally ill. It is not schizophrenia. I am not suffering from auditory hallucinations. I started taking Lexapro when I was 19, and I took it for a decade. And I think that's why I can no longer hear ghosts, generally. I still can pick up on them, especially if it's a negative entity, but I can't hear them, which is a shame. And I really do think it's because of the Lexapro, because it changed the chemical makeup of my brain. I am not a anti-psychiatric person. Like, psychiatry is very important. I've been in therapy for over a decade. Psychiatric medication has a place, but that's a side effect. Would I have gone back and changed taking it? No, because I needed it. My brain was not producing enough serotonin, so that's what was causing my clinical depression. But it permanently changed my brain, so I'm just not as open. And I've tried everything under the sun, all the different things to help open your third eye, and I can't get it to come back. So I think it's just gone, which makes me sad. But I can still pick up on entities occasionally. It's generally the negative ones. Like, have you ever, this may creep you out a little bit. It creeped me out when I learned this. And I learned this from a reputable psychic, and I watch her videos, and she kind of explains some things. Have you ever felt the urge to run? It generally happens at night. You'll be in your kitchen, in your basement. Generally, if you feel the urge to run, it is because somebody is running at you. For some reason, you will get a feisty spirit, and they will charge at you. And it's happened to me a few times, and now that I recognize that that's what it is, because it used to freak me out, I will turn and tell them to stop, and it generally shuts it down. And it probably surprises the crap out of them. But it's generally, if you feel the urge to run, it's because somebody's running at you. Like I said, there are feisty and malicious people. Those people don't magically always become better on the other side, and you can have feisty and negative entities. And I generally attribute how they make me feel to if they're good or bad, because if you have a negative entity in your space, you can tell. Another instance is generally you'll get woken up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and that can happen for a number of reasons, but it's generally because the veil is a little bit thinner and somebody's trying to communicate with you, or they like to poke at you and wake you up. That does happen. I do think it's helpful to check in, and this is the easiest way I found to communicate with them. So I use a divination board. We talked a little bit about this in the last video. This is a basic one, so it's got yes and no. It does have letters, but I find that it's difficult to kind of get a clear spell out. Like, that would take a long time. I generally use the white side for no reason other than it's a little bit easier to see. I found that I think I don't remember if I used the black or white in the video, but I've used the both, but I tend to not have a lot of light on in the room, and it's a little bit easier to see the white side. The pendulum that I like to use is the rose quartz. Rose quartz is thought to kind of make you a little more in tune. I think it's more of the color, not necessarily the crystal. I have 2 amethyst ones. I have a book on crystals because I am not as versed as I used to be. I don't remember what all of the crystals mean, but they all have different properties. The other one I have is also an amethyst one, but I talked about that in my other video. I don't like this little clasp. I do have the ability. I have like jewelry tools. I can take this off and just make it a solid chain. I feel like this affects the way it swings. It probably doesn't, but this one came with the board, and then these 2 my husband bought me separately. So these are pendulums, and you can use one of these without the board. So if you just want to get one, you just have to predetermine where yes and no is, and then let the powers that be know, and they will move it accordingly. So you can use this without the board. Like I said, you just kind of have to be like, okay, this is going to be yes, or this is no, you know, whatever. And they can move it. So it's not necessary to buy the board. If this is something that freaks you out or freaks your partner out, you can get the pendulum and kind of address the universe without the board. So that's an option. I keep them in this little coffin container for no other reason than I have it. It's very small. It doesn't hold a lot. It's got a lid. So there's no hidden meaning behind the coffin. I like the aesthetic of the coffin, and I had it. So that's where the stuff ended up so that it doesn't get lost. Again, the board, I do own one, never used it. I do feel like these are hard. These are not meant to be used alone, and it's hard to get a accurate reading. I have started to get back into tarot card readings, so if you want me to do a basic video on those, I can. We'll talk about sage. I do basic manifestation spells. I don't like to use that word because people associate it with witchcraft. I'm not a practicing Wiccan. I used to be when I was in my 20s. I do it more for intent, like putting out positivity in the universe. I feel like what you send out, you get back. I do believe in manifestation. You can manifest things. So I do spells, manifestation rituals is what I like to call them, with candles, herbs, paper. I can do basic instructional video on those. If you want to see one, let me know. But I did get sage. We are tearing down walls in this house. We are remodeling, and anytime you remodel and open up, it does affect the feng shui, the energy in the space. So I got some sage. I have small amount here. My husband's friend that he works with is native, and he's going to get me a larger amount because this is a pretty big house. I'm going to need more than what I got. But I did buy a witch's broom, and that's what it's called. This is a Wicca broom. It says so on the package. These were like a novelty in the 80s. Like everybody's grandma had one of these on the wall. But they do serve a purpose. I will take it out of this package. This has Tiger's Eye and the Tree of Life. I'll read it right off the package. These are used to cleanse negativity and remove unwanted spirits from your home. The Tree of Life connects to the earth and the universe. It is a mystical symbol of knowledge and immortality, and the Tiger Eye is a protective amulet that will help you keep your inner strength. I got this to help disperse the smoke when I burn sage. You can use a feather. That was my preferred method years ago. You just go outside and kind of request feathers, and feathers will show up on the ground. It works. Try it sometime. But I used to use feathers. But again, when you're burning the sage, you'll light it, and then obviously it's smoking. It's a disperse tool, but you can use this on its own. You can look up negativity verses. You can make up your own. It really doesn't matter as long as you mean what you say and you have conviction. So you can sweep negative energy out. You can sweep negative energy off yourself just with this, but I bought it specifically to use with the sage. This one came with citrine, I forget what they said. Citrine is actually my first stone, but citrine is there's like power associated, spiritual something. I forget. Like I said, I have a book that has the crystals meaning. I used to know offhand and I don't remember, but this is supposed to like sit in here. It popped out, but it's not necessary that this be on here per se. I'm not really sure how they shoved this in here, but it helps with energy. If you want to have the crystal in there, it's not necessary. Again, you light it, it smokes. You want to hit the corners, the door frames. Generally, when you leave your home, you can get negative energy attached to you, especially when you go into public spaces. So to do it properly, you should sage every time you leave your home. But again, I don't think it's necessary. I just want to balance out the energy in the house because we are disrupting things. So I got this one to try. And what is the company that I ordered this from? Art of the Root. I will try and remember and link them down below. And then I got just a regular sage bundle, but I'm going to need a lot more than these two little bundles. So my husband's friend is going to get me some more. But yeah, again, you just light it. You can get these, like Sprouts sells sage bundles. So I may get some more over there too. But yeah, this is just, and I usually will try and recite, removing positive energy, removing positive energy, bringing in positive energy, removing negative energy. Sometimes I'll look up a verse and write it down, but as long as you are speaking with conviction, it doesn't have to be anything specific. But I do think, like I said, I do believe in energy, so we need to balance out the energy a little bit in the space. So we're going to do that. I did do a manifestation ritual, green candle, kind of help bring in money. Also, I'm going through an issue with my ex-husband to try and help resolve that, but it's one of those things, just trying to put out positivity in the universe and release negative thoughts. And when you let go of something, generally it will work itself out. I did get this out. I use this I used to use it like for drying setting spray, but if you have a little like fan, and you can get a cheap one, this will help like with the smoke too. I just think, again, it helps with the dispersion of the smoke. It's a personal preference. I've seen people that burn the sage bundle and just burn the sage and don't use something like this. So again, it's personal preference. There's no right or wrong way to do stuff like that. I'm trying to think. We can do a little demonstration again with the divination board, but I think that's all I have for this video. Again, if there's any specific topic that we touched on, I can do another full-length video on that. I enjoy talking about this stuff, so I'm very happy that the last video was well received. So let me reposition and we'll do another little demonstration. I can't guarantee that we will get a response. I'm gonna use the white side, so we have yes and no. I'm gonna use the rose quartz. Okay. Is somebody there that I can speak to today? Yes, thank you. And I try and stabilize and balance out the pendulum in between. Is it okay if I film? And we're getting a yes. Thank you. Am I speaking with my spirit guide that I normally communicate with? Yes. Thank you. Have you been helping to watch over us during the remodeling process? Yes, thank you. Is the remodeling bothering you? And we're getting a no. Thank you. Are there still currently 3 spirits in the house? Yes, thank you. Are you in communication with the other 2? And we're getting a no. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Is generally how I approach it. I always try and ask permission. Is it okay if I ask you questions? Wait for an answer again. And I always try and close with a thank you, because again, they are not obligated to talk to me. So I try and approach it with respect in that manner. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Let me know if you want to see another video about anything, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you in another video. Bye everybody.